I should have seen the signs long ago, but when you're in the middle of it, you tend to overlook the obvious. It's like staring at a messy room for so long, you start to believe the clutter is normal. And with my best friend Lila, that's exactly what happened. Lila was gorgeous, there's no denying that. Tall, blonde, with eyes that could pull you in like quicksand. Everywhere we went, people noticed her. She had that effect, like a walking magnet for attention. And I was okay with it. I was her best friend, after all. The quieter, more laid-back type who didn't need to be the center of attention. At least, that's what I told myself back then. We'd been best friends since high school, inseparable for over a decade. Through awkward teen years, bad haircuts, and late-night talks about who we were crushing on, Lila and I had been through it all. But the problem wasn't that she got attention. It was that whenever I found myself in a relationship, Lila had this knack for flirting with my partners. I remember the first time it happened. I was dating Jake, a sweet guy who had this goofy smile and the worst taste in shoes. But I liked him. We'd been seeing each other for a couple of months when I invited him to a small gathering at my place. Just a chill evening. Wine, a few friends, nothing fancy. Lila walked in, fashionably late as always, wearing a dress that screamed, "Look at me!" Jake's eyes lit up the moment he saw her. At first, I brushed it off. Who wouldn't be impressed by Lila? But as the night went on, I noticed something unsettling. Every time I went to get more wine or talk to someone else, Jake and Lila were in deep conversation, their heads tilted toward each other. Lila laughed at all his jokes she never found funny when I told them. When I asked her about it later, she brushed it off. "Oh, come on. I'm just being friendly. Relax." She laughed, making me feel like I was being ridiculous. And for a moment, I believed her. Maybe I was overthinking things. But then it happened again. And again. The next guy, Tom, lasted a little longer. He and I had been going out for almost 6 months, and I was actually starting to think he could be the one. Everything was going great, until I introduced him to Lila. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash. I could see the attraction between them almost immediately. Lila would playfully touch his arm, giggle in that way that seemed too familiar. Tom started texting her, asking for advice about me. Advice. As if she were some relationship guru and not the person who was slowly but surely sinking her hooks into him. I confronted her again. "Leela, do you even realize what you're doing? You're flirting with my boyfriend." "Oh, stop. I'm just being me." "You're being too sensitive." Sensitive. That word felt like a slap in the face. Every time, I was the one who ended up feeling guilty, like I was the problem for even questioning her behavior. The final straw came with my last boyfriend, Mark. By this point, I knew Lila's pattern, but I wanted to believe it wouldn't happen again. Maybe she'd matured, maybe I was stronger, maybe Mark was different. For the first time in a long time, I was genuinely happy. Mark was thoughtful, kind, and completely in tune with me, or so I thought. We were at a party, and I made the mistake of leaving them alone for just a few minutes. I came back to find Leela practically draped over him, laughing as if he were the funniest guy in the world. My stomach dropped. There it was again, that familiar feeling of betrayal. But this time, I didn't stay quiet. "Lila, can we talk?" She followed me outside, annoyed that I'd interrupted her little moment. "Seriously, what is your problem?" I asked, barely holding back my frustration. She shrugged. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You do this every time, Lila. Every single time. You flirt with my boyfriends, you steal their attention, and then I'm left feeling like an idiot." "Steal? Are you hearing yourself? Maybe if your relationships were stronger, you wouldn't be so threatened by me." Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. There it was, the real Lila. She wasn't just flirting. She was competing, turning every relationship into some twisted game where she had to win, even if it meant destroying my happiness. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "You know what, Lila? I'm done. You've been doing this for years, and I've let you get away with it because I didn't want to lose you as a friend. But I can't do this anymore. I deserve better than this." She scoffed, rolling her eyes as if I were being dramatic. "Fine. If you're going to be so paranoid, maybe we're not as close as I thought." And with that, she walked away. The thing is, cutting Lila off wasn't just about saving my relationships. It was about finally standing up for myself. I'd spent so long letting her overshadow me, letting her take the things that mattered to me without ever questioning it. But not anymore. It wasn't easy. Losing a best friend is like ripping out a part of yourself. I cried, laughed at the absurdity of it all, and even missed her for a while. But eventually, I started to feel lighter, free, even. Without her constant presence, I realized how much space she'd taken up in my life, space that I could now fill with people who actually respected me. Looking back, I'm still annoyed, of course. How many boyfriends did I have to lose before I learned the lesson? But at least now, I can laugh about it. Lila might have been a flirt, but I finally learned how to stop being the one who always came second. And honestly, it feels damn good.